A little bit of general discussion around social media. We're going to look at discuss customer persona, then into some of the demographics, and also some of the best channels, that we are from our experience, but not exclusive on this. So yes, here we are. So customer persona. Now the thing for me on this one is everybody cringes at it. Nobody really likes doing it, and nobody really likes doing it to the depth that it should be done. So I think that we look at the demographics between age groups and are they married, not married, is it male, female? But really what we need to get down to, my opinion, and this is where the exercise that I do with our clients is getting into what publications are like, what platforms do they use, what magazines do they follow, what influencers do they follow, what conferences do they go to, where do they hang out, what groups, what like Facebook groups, what LinkedIn groups, and looking around what the following of those groups are like, and then coming into the pains and frustrations and things like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, I think because when you're trying to find out the best social media platform for your business, the first thing you should do is consider where your customers are, obviously. And you said it seems like it's a boring thing to do, but actually, what's the point in doing it if you're using a platform that's not where your customers are? You're wasting your time, which nobody wants to do. And I think there's just the three things: the demographics, the interests, and the behaviors of your customer, like you just said. The groups is a big one. I think there are a lot of communities within social media can be a good place where a lot of shared interests and demographics can be found, and then it's an easy access for you to get to lots of people that are within your target customer if you can get into those groups and define them. But it takes time before you start that social media journey to really define your customer. So it all goes back to that, defining the customer, even how boring it is and how much people bang on about it. It's definitely important to do.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I was having a conversation. I was in a mastermind group earlier on this week, and there was a marketeer in there, and superb what they did. But when they were asking questions around why certain things weren't happening, and when we got into it, it was all around actually understanding, going deeper down into that customer avatar level. I was always taught that it's, the basics sort of like, so if you'd say the 3 M's, market, message, media. So you've got to understand your market. So therefore, you've got to understand your customer persona. And your customer persona, like ours, will be different from social media management, potentially, to digital paid ads, to, the business mentoring power hours, to the ramp up stage in revenue generating systems, to scale up side. All different personas, because they're at a different stage of the journey, feeling different pains and strains and wanting different things. So you really got to get to grips with the customer persona, in my opinion. Now, for those that do want to do this exercise, we do have a free exercise, and you can get that exercise at bit.ly/CUSAV, which is CUSAV as I call it. So yes, bit.ly/CUSAV, all lowercase, and there's a free exercise on customer avatar. I'm just looking up here, and Steve Murphy's just commented, Rishi Sunak is seriously over-promising, so here I am. So he's joined us on the live because he's watching Rishi do the budget. So here we go. We're doing it. We're on. Yeah. Me and Simon are doing a live later on the budget, I think, as well. So yeah, customer avatar, definitely one. Now then, so this brings us on to some of the demographics. Now I know you've looked at some of this as well as I have, because we've got the charts that we look at. So I think, what were you going to say around this from your point of view?
Well, I think the demographics as well, the first thing to do is consider what type of business you are, first and foremost, because there's a clear distinction and an obvious platform to use if you're B2B, and then B2C can be split off into the different other platforms, potentially, depending on what you find out from when you do your customer breakdown, and you look at demographics and how those consumers behave. Obviously, B2B, the number one thing is LinkedIn. It's an obvious one. It's a platform built for business. And we'll go into a few other things about, what to think about in terms of that in a little while. But yeah, the first thing I would do is break down that the service or product that you're offering. Where's it going to suit best to advertise on social media, and go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, I knew we would agree anyway. We're both with the same team. But the where I've looked at this is from an e-commerce point of view. Is the platforms that spring to mind that we know of is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and probably potentially TikTok as well in that from that side. The ones from a B2B platform, as you say, LinkedIn sort of like drops straight in at the top because it is some of that thought leadership and authority and getting stuff out there, not necessarily the sales side. Although we must not forget the sale side, because we all have to sell. It is not a dirty word. We have to sell. And then Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and again, TikTok probably drops in there. And I think one of the reasons I say TikTok in there is we were discussing in the manufacturing hour the other night around bringing the younger generation into manufacturing and how we could do that. And somebody made the comment in there saying around that TikTok, you got to be funny with it. And one of the attendees, Yinch, turned around and said, well, not necessarily. His sister was involved with one that was called the Hold My Milk, which is a take on Hold My Beer, where you're going to do either something impressive or something really, really ill-advised. Normally, Hold My Beer, where I was, means that there was going to be an absolute ruckus of a fight cracking off. But that went viral, and there was I think he said, over 4 billion views on it. So, it's around seeing what you can do with some of these things, hashtags and challenges that, potentially could blow up on TikTok.
And I think as well, then that then links into you once you sort of worked out where you want to be showcasing your business, what platform, and you've done your customer avatar. Then you got to look at the products or service that you're offering and actually consider whether that is something that's going to be able to create and spark a conversation. Is it a product or a service that could potentially go viral? Is it innovative? Is it new to market? Is it something that could potentially be marketable in a humorous way and take off virally? Or is it on the other end of the scale? So there being, you don't need much involvement with the customer at all. The product's going to sell itself and the service, and they can make their own views on it. Or on the other end, is it a professional service that you're providing, which is built and sold on proper relationships between you and a client? There's lots of different touch points. There's lots of different stages before we even get to considering a sale. And is that product and service therefore need more information around it? That then changes again the style and the platforms that you then advertise on. You're probably not going to want to go for a viral potential platform such as TikTok, or maybe on a hashtag on Twitter, etc. You're going to want to go onto a business platform like LinkedIn, or maybe even a platform like Facebook, which is considered to be more informational, and actually then provide your customers with information to trust the business, but also trust you as a provider. That personal brand on LinkedIn as well can work really, really well, and getting yourself out there as a reputable person in the field. So I think, again, it comes down to then the next stage is, okay, what does my product and service do well, and how can I adapt our social media strategy to suit the offerings in front of our customer base?
Yeah, no, and the key thing there for me is that social media strategy. So when I always cringe when I hear people say, let's give the social media to the apprentice. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, let them get involved with it, but always ensure that you are overviewing the copy, because the copy, and you're moving people down that customer value journey, as Luke's saying there, around the different sections of and messaging. Your messaging is focused on a particular sort of like area of that customer value journey. So you've always got to make sure that strategy is aligned, and not just a spray and pray approach, because the spray and pray approach doesn't work. And I've just had another message from Lee Howarth up here. He say, "Lol, me too, Steve. Fed up with listening to so much bull, so came on here for a dose of positivity with Adam and Luke." So thank you very much, Lee.
Yeah.
So look at that. Yeah, outwinning Rishi Sunak. That's a novel one. So yeah, I mean, you've got to have that strategy and always have the end goal in mind. Work back from there around what you want. So demographic side, as we're talking demographics, I mean, we've got some of the some of the stats around it, and starting off with Facebook groups, and generally they go sort of like 13 to 17 age groups, 18 to 24, 24 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and so on. So Facebook, the biggest one, and they got female, male, and a usage is 19%, and that is the 25 to 34 age range is the biggest percentage, and then either side of that is then as we come down, so from a normal distribution side, which didn't necessarily surprise me. What did surprise me is Instagram is the same. When I look at this, it's like the 25 to 18 to 24 and 30, the 25 to 34 demographic is Instagram. That's where the biggest spike. So, skewed a little bit to the left of that range, which I could understand from Instagram. But Facebook, I thought might have been a bit older.
Yeah, and that's where I think the data will probably go in the next few months to years, where people move away from Facebook. I mean, my age group, just underneath that, probably the 18 to 24, is where people are probably, like you said, it's sort of falling down now. Facebook's not really one that we will go on socially. I mean, I check Facebook for business community groups now, community pages, and the odd birthday or whatever it is, but I don't go on it for social use. Whereas Instagram, you go on there, you want some easily digestible content to look at. You might then go on to TikTok for exactly the same, and that is one where, I mean, the demographics on TikTok are surely going to be the younger generation, but also now, while we see Facebook falling in terms of younger people using it, TikTok's increasing in terms of older people using it, because they're now realizing, you know what, the algorithm's that sophisticated on there that it's going to show me things no matter what my age, interests, demographics, behaviors are. It's going to show me stuff that I actually enjoy watching, and that's the power of TikTok. It's, if you're a business, it's going to suggest in the long run your content to people that it's worked out actually do engage with your content. And then if you've done all the stuff we've talked about before, and you're creating content for the customer avatar, for your product and service that is going to work well, you then feed that into TikTok and work alongside the algorithm, and you're going to be getting in front of that target audience that you really, really want. So I think the demographics of TikTok are probably going the other way, where everyone's sort of moving across to that now.
Yeah, no, and by the way, I did like how you really slid that one in there. I mean, that 18 to 24, really made me feel good, that one did. But I knew you were going to do that. Yeah, the TikTok one, I mean, I like TikTok just from a pure laugh point of view. I mean, there's some great stuff on there, but there's also some, really other business-like stuff on there, which I know people are winning on.
Yeah.
Now, the other one that surprised me on this one is the demographics is LinkedIn. Is the biggest users percentage at 60 odd percent is the 25 to 34.
Yeah.
And again, we thought that it might have been a bit skewed to the more of the mature generation, but not. And even down at either side of that, the 18 to 24 and the 35 to, I think they've got 54 on this one.
Right.
Are both the same either side of that. So, and they're at 20%. So, but this big, massive 60% in the middle, which I quite surprised me.
Do you think with that, Adam, it's sort of like that middle group is people that have been in employment for a while, 25 to 34. They're either in their second or third position within a company. The norm now is to have a LinkedIn profile and sort of have a presence on there now. It's just seen as a company, you should just have a LinkedIn profile now. And then also you've got people on there who are actively looking for people in that demographic as well, in terms of recruiters and moving people on. So actually that having that demographic of people on there isn't, when we think about it, not too surprising, because that's going to be the sort of main demographic that either want to be using that platform to show where they're at in their careers, or the audience for people to go on there and actually target in terms of recruitment, etc.
Yeah. I think there is that. LinkedIn is one of the platforms, as you know, that I love from a B2B point of view. I do quite like the comment that's just popped up here. Seamless age bracket link, Luke. Thought you were in the next bracket up. Yeah. So, What's this one, Lee's? You say, Adam, does workout actual age or mental age? I for one fall into that 60%. Yeah, the mental age, yeah, definitely.
So we're talking about physical age, not the mental age, definitely.
Yeah. So YouTube, I'm not even going to go into because you imagine that everybody just goes on YouTube. It's just across the range. It's there. Twitter. Yeah, I mean, Twitter, the 25 to 34 and the 35 to 49 are very, very similar, which the biggest peaks are around about 26. I think it is 28%. 18 to 24 is around about 21, and the 13 to 17 is around about 9%.
Is that the most, Adam? 18 to 24? Or is that the second most? Because I would have
the second most. That is, the 18 to 24 is the second most, but the two that are leading the way on that, really, and they're very, very level, is the 25 34, 35 49.
See,
and they're all almost level.
That's a surprise. I think that the Twitter for me is one where the younger generation sort of go on and use and sort of moved across from Facebook. Sort of 10 years ago, everyone would be doing what they're doing on Twitter now on Facebook. And it's easy to see comments. I mean, Twitter's, again, just a feed, isn't it, of tweets and sort of in a series of, most recent to not. They changed it slightly, but it generally follows that trend. Whereas Facebook's all over the place now in terms of timings and things and what you see organically and stuff like that. And I think the younger generation like that. They like to see updates quickly. They like quick feeds of information, short bursts of information. So again, if that's something that a business would like to do in terms of target people who are interested in that, then hashtags and things like that could be really, really good to get in front of people when they're just browsing and quickly alert them.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I noticed is my lad that is 19, 20. Yeah, him and his mates were get that in there. Him and his mates were Twitter in the lockdown and still are. Just piecing together information, or trying to get information on their particular interest, not generally around news. It's what they were searching for. But I think that's covered most of the demographic side. But again, I think that B2B for me, LinkedIn and potentially Twitter. The interesting one is when I actually did a little bit of research on this morning, that from a B2B point of view, I did expect Facebook to be in some of the research, and it wasn't. It never dropped in, and that surprised me because most people have a business page. And so the business is there, and they're doing a lot with the business tools and trying to get business more as this onto the platform and become it so there is this one key platform. Be interesting where it goes with the metaverse side, with what Zuckerberg's looking at from there.
I think as well, just the basic functions of Facebook have an impact on that. So LinkedIn, you send a connection request, and it's that word connection is an instant. Sort of, okay, I'm a bit distant from this person still. I know they're going to be able to see what I get up to on work because that's all I share on LinkedIn, majority of the time. Whereas Facebook is a more personal platform. There's things of family, friends on there, things you get up to in your social time. And therefore, you're not going to be connecting with your target audience on a personal level, sending friend requests out. And that's not something that people do, especially if you don't know somebody. Whereas LinkedIn, the connection side of things is something people are comfortable to sort of send out and try and build a relationship directly on LinkedIn. So I don't know. Yeah, it's if Facebook could sort of adapt some sort of I know following on there is an option already, but something where there's sort of a separate from your personal side of your profile to your business and what you do work wise, then that might increase that from a business point of view. But I think at the minute, people still see Facebook as a very personal profile, and then therefore, if it's like I said, if it's something that you want to build a relationship for, it's going to be hard to do that on Facebook on a personal level because people aren't going to accept you to the end.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see where this goes with Facebook around this rebrand and focus into this metaverse. I must admit, I'm very interested in it from a VR point of view with what we're doing and looking at.
I think that's a good thing to sort of finish the live on as well, is that we're talking about all these platforms, but all these platforms are bringing out different features all the time, and then those features could have a massive impact on what works really well for your business and what doesn't. the metaverse could have a huge business benefit when they eventually bring out the features for that. And that might see a shift then from people doing LinkedIn lives, for example, like we're doing, in actually being present in that metaverse where people virtually can come and see them whenever they want to, rather than having to host a live. In lockdown, live videos on Facebook were massive. And now all of us, there's less of a focus on that. So I think it really is, whilst you have your main platforms that you use, B2C, B2B, etc., just keep an eye on the different platforms and think, oh, okay, could I use these new features to actually benefit my business and get my products and services out there? Definitely.
Yeah, Yinch has just put on hello metaverse. New Yinch will be that. Yinch is a VR AR specialist. Top. So yes, that's the live to end with. To end the live on that, I think. So yeah, just remember, if you want that customer persona exercise, it's free. It's bit.ly/CUSAV, CUSAV, that is free. Just download it. If you want to have a chat with us around anything digital marketing, social media, or business and scaling and growing, then give us a shout. Follow us or connect with us and ask us anything. So thank you very much. It's been superb.
Thanks, Adam.